Hi, I'm Kathleen, fine artist and art teacher. Welcome to my video series on color theory and all things color. In this lesson, I want to talk about color that's a little more extreme. So let's start by looking at a painting. And this is a nice painting of a beach. There are lots of beautiful colors in the painting. Some are bolder, higher chroma like the sky colors, and there's some higher chroma in the water too, but then there's some duller, lower chroma colors, a little bit in the water, and then of course in that wet sand at the shoreline. But all of these colors in this scene is definitely something that you could imagine as realistic, something you would likely see if you went to the beach, especially if you live here in Northwest Florida like I do, and it's fairly realistic. This is what's called local color, and it means that it's colors that you would naturally see in nature. And in reviewing many of my paintings, I see that I use a lot of non-local color in my paintings. In other words, they don't directly represent a real world appearance of the object that I'm painting. Like you would never see a heron this colorful in person. And you wouldn't really see a cow that's a beautiful pink color like this too. The question is, how can I paint a pink cow and then have it feel right? And the secret is in getting the correct values in my paintings. No matter the color, value means how light or how dark your shapes of color are. And values are really easy to see, like in this scale, in black and white. So I turned my pink cow into a black and white version, and you can easily see the various shapes of different values. And I know just by looking at the values where the shadow areas are in this painting, and I can see where the light's hitting. I could even feel the sun on the pasture and around the cow's ears. And when you look at it this way, you don't know it's a pink cow, but it is. So let's look at more. This is a colorful beach bird, and it does feel correct in black and white too. I see the sunny sand, and I can tell where the shadows are. The values are good, and they create a good range of contrast in the painting that's just pleasing to our eyes, and it creates the form of the bird. So good values in my paintings allow me to take a bit of artistic license with the color. Here I've used the same reference photo, and then I've taken it even further with a more extreme color with all of these beautiful magentas and pinks. And so there's certainly a wide range of values when you do look at this black and white photo, and it feels correct as well. I don't think this painting would be nearly as impactful if it were colorful, yet if the value relationships were not as strong. So the relationships between lights and darks create a really strong dynamic in your painting, and then the color adds a richness and emotion. Here's the question: is value more important than color in your painting? Well, I think that it depends on your intention, but in the examples I've shown you, having correct values allows you to choose a non-realistic color and still have it feel correct. Does this work for abstract paintings too? Here is an abstract painting, a famous one, called Milkweed by Lee Krasner. So I wanted to show you the painting in black and white, and then look at that scale on the bottom as well to kind of analyze it. And you see it has values from each end of the value scale and a mid value. So it has three very distinct, strong values, and it creates a strong composition and a really nice and compelling shapes that just invite us in. The general muted colors with that hint of red in those small strategically placed shapes catch our attention. So yes, value can be a really important color or component of abstract paintings. And here's Villa Borghese by William de Kooning, and he's taken a slightly different approach with the value shapes. And all of them are on the lower end of the value scale. He doesn't have any that are really extreme in that higher, darker value area. And but since there are three very distinct shapes of value, it does, it does feel us draw us in, and it feels right. It helps the painting, to be cohesive. And so color is often, a lot about the feeling that it brings to the painting. So we can enjoy the painting in black and white here and see how it looks interesting with the values, but when you add the color, you bring in that sense of emotion. Here's one of my paintings that leans a little into the abstract shapes of a coastal scene. And I took a scene that I know and love and I've painted before and gave myself the parameter of really leaning into the abstract shapes. In fact, I didn't look at the reference once I had the main lines drawn in, but I really let it evolve more intuitively. In fact, that's how it became a nocturne, because it just felt, like it was at a night painting. So I kind of, leaned into that, and then I saw that star in the sky and thought, well, yeah, it's kind of telling me what it wants to be. And I didn't have that in mind when I started. So I made the lighter areas. These are the areas in the painting that maybe possibly catching some of that moonlight, have a little bit more higher chroma in the painting. And when I look at it in black and white, it does feel right. If I squint my eyes, I really can see those separated value shapes. There's a light, there's a middle, there's a dark value, and that makes it work really nicely for me. And I could even tell that it is a night scene in this black and white version of the painting. Thank you for joining me today to talk about using good values in your work to allow you more creativity with your color choices. Don't forget to like my video, share with your creative friends, and subscribe to my channel to be sure to catch all the new videos. It's through the process of learning, practicing, and creating that you become an artist and your best self.